This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Greetings, viewers. You're tuned into Pulse of Africa, and I am Samia Mohammed with today's top stories. Africa Union urges inclusive policy making and fair resource sharing to empower Africa's indigenous communities. South Sudanese President and Ugandan Defense Chief hold talks on security. Ghana holds Memorial Night for helicopter crash victims. Here's the news with all the details. African Union Commission Chairperson Mohamed Ali Yusuf has emphasized the need to promote inclusive policy making and equitable resource sharing mechanisms to empower Africa's indigenous communities. Yusuf made the call in a statement issued Saturday in observance of International Day of the World's Indigenous Peoples, which falls on August 9 each year, highlighting the essential significance of recognizing the rich heritage, knowledge, system, and resilience of indigenous communities across Africa and beyond. He underscored the vital role they play in preserving cultural diversity, protecting the environment, and fostering sustainable development in alignment with the AU's 50-year Continental Development Blueprint Agenda 2063. The chairperson called on AU members, partners, and all stakeholders to work together through inclusive policy making, equitable resource sharing, and respect for traditional knowledge systems. The United Nations Children's Fund issued a policy note in the Kenyan capital of Nairobi on Sunday, reiterating the call to register all African children at birth to boost their protection and secure a brighter future for them. The policy note commemorates the 8th African Civil Registration and Vital Statistic Day, which is marked annually on August 10. UNICEF stressed that birth registration is a fundamental right for every child. The Sustainable Development Goal 16.9 calls for the provision of legal identity for all, but in sub-Saharan Africa, nearly half of children under 5 remain unregistered at birth, UNICEF said. With Africa expected to account for 1/3 of all global births by 2050, achieving universal birth registration is both a right imperative and demographic necessity, the agency observed. South Sudanese President Salva Kiir and visiting Uganda Chief of Defense Forces Muhoozi Kainerugaba have held talks on strengthening regional stability. The Uganda military said in a statement that during a meeting held in the South Sudanese capital of Juba, Kiir commended Uganda for its role in maintaining peace in South Sudan. Kainerugaba said Uganda will continue to foster stronger ties with South Sudan. After meeting Kiir, Kainerugaba visited the tactical headquarters of Operation Minizwa Kimia, a Swahili phrase meaning silent guardian, where he interacted with the Ugandan troops and commanders overseeing the mission. These engagements underscore the deepening military and security partnership between Kampala and Juba, according to the statement. The government of Ghana held an evening of reflection and memorial on Saturday to conclude 3-day national mourning for the 5 officials and 3 military personnel who died in the military helicopter crash on Wednesday. Thousands of Ghanaian citizens, government officials, members of parliament, and officials from various political parties participated in the event held on the forecourts of Parliament House in Accra, the country's capital. Tributes were read by the institutions and families of the 8 lost souls amid the sound of traditional degrees played on flutes with candlelight, dotting the dark evening, well set to deep-seat the mood of gloom across the nation due to the unfortunate incident. In his tribute, Ghanaian President John Dramani Mahama described the incident as a painful loss to the country, the families, and loved ones of the deceased. In other news, South Korean President Lee Jae-myung on Monday held a summit meeting with the visiting Vietnamese leader Lam in Seoul, according to the South Korean President Office. Lee, who took office in June, met with Lam, General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Central Committee, who was on a 4-day state visit to South Korea since Sunday. The two leaders agreed to step up efforts to reach the global goal of raising bilateral trade volume to $150 billion by 2030, though the bilateral free trade agreement. Trade between two countries, which are the 3rd largest trading partners to each other, amounted to $86.7 billion last year. President Donald Trump pledged on Sunday to evict homeless people from the nation's capital and jail criminals, despite Washington's mayor urging there is no current spike in crime. While details of the plan were unclear, the administration is preparing to deploy hundreds of National Guard troops to Washington. A U.S. official told Reuters a controversial tactic Trump used recently in Los Angeles to tackle immigration protests over objections of local officials. Trump has now made a final decision, the official said, adding that the number of troops and their role are still being determined. The homeless have to move out immediately. We will give you places to stay, but far from the capital, Trump posted on his Truth social platform.
The story of resurgent Ethiopia and burgeoning Africa is here, only on the Pulse of Africa channel. All the time, Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.
Moving on to business news. The Moroccan government has announced plans to invest $8 billion to deploy 5G technology across the country, with the goal of covering 85% of the population by 2030. The ambitious project will begin implementation by the end of 2025, with several major cities receiving 5G coverage in the initial phase. The initiative forms part of the Morocco Digital 2030 strategy, which aims to accelerate the country's digital transformation. These advancements have positioned Morocco as the leading African country in 2025 International Telecommunication Union rankings across the Information and Communication Technology Development Index. Finally, NVIDIA have agreed to give U.S. government 50% of revenue from sales to China of advanced computer chips like NVIDIA H20 that are used for artificial intelligence applications, a U.S. official told Reuters on Sunday. U.S. President Donald Trump's administration halted the sales of H20 chips to China in April, but NVIDIA last month announced the U.S. said that it would allow the company to resume sales and it hoped to start delivery soon. Another U.S. official said on Friday that the Commerce Department had begun issuing licenses for the sale of H20 chips to China. When asked if NVIDIA had agreed to pay 50% of revenues to the U.S., a NVIDIA spokesperson said in a statement, "We follow rules the U.S. government sets for our participation in worldwide markets." Before we close, here's a quick look at the latest global commodities prices. Next, let's take a look at the current weather forecasts. That's all from Pulse of Africa today. Thank you for being with us.
This is Pulse of Africa, the face of Ethiopia, the voice of Africa.